scout. So you've done chief scout. You've done. So you mentioned you were out scouting. What more can you tell us about the role of the chief scout, Joe? Are you kind of delegating what other scouts are looking at? Are you the go-between the head of recruitment? Like what? And also the difference between chief scout and head of recruitment as well, and where they both kind of tie in.
Yeah, so yeah, good point. At Norwich, my job specifically was scouting players. So I was the chief scout of getting out and going to as many games as possible, doing as many reports as possible. I wasn't involved in the negotiations of like transfer fees or salaries. I wasn't involved in that at Norwich. It was more scout, get out, go to games. We had a head of recruitment in Lee Darnborough who had been brought in from Burnley. We had a head of technical recruitment, I think at the point. It was Donald's now a lecturer at I think it's Loughborough. And then we brought in another scout, Tony Spearing, as the head of scouting. Probably, if you're sitting there thinking, God, probably too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. If you want to be honest with you, probably too many people that wanted to be. Because I came in with Alex Neil, and I had a great relationship with Alex, but I felt I had to prove myself all over again because of coming from Hamilton Accies. But again, it sounds like there's maybe too many decision makers, but it actually didn't really work out that way. We actually got on well with each other. We all understood the remit of what the job was. I knew my job was just to go and scout players. Lee Darnborough and Tony was probably Lee to start with was probably the one that was dealing with the agents more. I spoke to agents and things like that, but if it got to that next step, if we identified a player that we liked, it would be passed on to Lee and then David McNally. At the point, Ricky Martin was the technical director at the point. He wasn't as heavily involved in recruitment when I was there. He was more operational. It wasn't really a recruitment-based role for Ricky at the time when I was there. I think it maybe was going to become that before Stuart Webber came in. And yeah, so my job there, chief scout players, get out, get to as many games as possible. And as I say, because I used to be at 5, 6, 7 games a week. And I absolutely loved it because you're visiting stadiums and cities and countries that you'd never probably visit if you were just in a normal job, shall we say. So for me, that was a brilliant experience. It was a brilliant learning curve. And I think we managed to sign some good players. We signed James Maddison, Ben Godfrey, Ivo Pinto, Mitchell Dykes, Nelson Oliveira, Alex Pritchard. I mean, the list can go on. And we were trying. And I've not got a list, but I could probably write a list of the players and especially the foreign players that we were out watching at the time that you think if we'd managed to get, that could have really helped us. But bigger clubs in Norwich managed to sign them and they're established Premier League players now.
Yeah. So, and how did your role and day-to-day change from Norwich to Preston? So Preston, you went in again with Alex Neil was there as well. So that was head of recruitment. So what were you doing differently potentially, or was it a similar thing?
Well, so I'll touch upon Alex obviously left Norwich and Stuart Webber came in as the sporting director. And they brought in Kieran Scott and Chris Badlin. Kieran's at Middlesbrough and Chris was recently the head of recruitment at Aberdeen. I don't know if he's back in work or not now. And Stuart's obviously, he's out himself. But that was, only worked with him for 2 or 3 months. But I like Stuart. I have to say I like Stuart. He was very, very good with me, Stuart. Very open and honest with me. Like, people left their jobs and I thought this is going to happen to me. And Stuart had a conversation with me where he says, no, I'd like to keep you on. I've looked at your reports, I've looked at your scouting, and I think that I could use your skill set and I could benefit from you being here. So that was good for the confidence, for the ego. That was a wee boost. You're thinking, well, this is an established guy that's just done a great job at Huddersfield. He wants to keep you on. So I was pleased at that. And then I started working with Stuart, Kieran and Chris. But I knew Alex was probably not going to be out of job long. And I always knew that the next step for me was to step up to be head of recruitment. So where the head of recruitment chief scout, in my opinion, differs is head of recruitment, you're more responsible for interactions with agents. You're more responsible for finding out what the finance is, what the deal is, what the club's looking for, what the player's looking for, what the agent's fee is. You collate all that information and you then take it to, at the time, my reporting line was Peter Ridsdale, Peter's still there at Preston, and I had a great relationship with Peter, brilliant relationship. He allowed me that ability and that, what's the word I'm looking for? just a choice of just saying, go and you speak to them, go and you find out, and then bring all the information back to me. He gave me the chance to do that, which is what I needed to do, and it's what I hoped that I would get, Chris. It's what I thought going for chief scout to head of recruitment would be, and I got it there at Preston. But again, I have to stress, because I was only full-time scout at Preston. I was a full-time scout. I introduced a thing with the UCLan, the university, to get their one of their programs was a lot of them are in the sports science or the analysis department. Some of them wanted to be scouts, so I got you through Craig Lawler, who was a lecturer there. We got these young guys being scouts for us, which was brilliant for their experience, but also brilliant for me, because they were watching videos a lot and they were putting reports together and they were developing themselves, but they were able to then say to me, we'll flag this player up in Norway, or we'll flag this player up in Denmark, or whatever. And at the time, Preston weren't massive on the European market. They preferred the homegrown, they preferred UK, like Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and of course England. But again, we touched upon that earlier on. The players that we signed there, like we managed to sign Lucas Nemecha, who's went on to have a brilliant career, Steffi Mavadidi on loan from Arsenal and Man City, but we also signed your Jordan Storys, your Andy Hugheses, who are still playing every single week there. So that was a brilliant time in my career. I have to say, it was a brilliant time. It was a brilliant club. Great location as well for players. You're in the Northwest and you've got all the massive clubs. You've got Liverpool clubs around you, you've got Manchester clubs around you, but even then you've got on your doorstep Blackburn, Blackpool, Burnley, Salford. So it was great for scouting, that club.